G'day everybody. I wanted to show you a quick set of steps that you can use within Google Slides to arrange different elements on the page and get them all to align. So I don't know how many times you've sat there trying to make sure that everything's the exact same size or that they're aligned like perfectly height next to each other, getting it down to the pixel. It can be incredibly frustrating. So hopefully a few tips here will streamline that and make it really smooth for you. So one of the first things I really want to look at is the fact that even just selecting something or some things can help if you click and drag over them and then let go and it will be selected. Now that helps usually when selecting more than one thing. Now let's say I've got a task here to write 6 new titles for something. I create one text box, I get it formatted the exact way I want it with font size, style, etc. I can press Control D and get another version of this text box that is exactly the same. So now I know it's the same size. So if I want to drag it over here, notice that when I put it up, it'll tell me when their centers align with the red line. That can be really handy. The problem now is though, this second text box takes us right over the edge of the page. So there's a very easy cheat to fix that. Select both text boxes, grab it by the side and shrink it, and it actually shrinks both of them to ratio. So we now have two text boxes that are still the same size. So now that I know they fit the width of the page, I just need to work on scaling them down the page because I need 6 of them. Now, one way to do that is to select both of them and press Control D and bring those down and wait until the center lines up and then do it again. Now, because I press Control D, the two that are created are automatically grouped together. And if I don't click on anything else, I can just click and drag and both of them will come together. Now, I've got that set up, but as you can see, the gap between these two and the gap between these two is not the same. And it's a little thing, but it can be a very big thing to some people. So I wanted us to look at how we can change that. If I select all 3 of these text boxes on the left and I click on right click and I click on distribute vertically, you'll notice that they then distribute with even sized gaps. Again, very small thing, but a very large thing to some of us. Another small to large thing you might notice is down the bottom of the page, we have a fair amount of a gap there, and you might not want that. So the best solution there is, select just the bottom text box, drag it down as far as you would like it to go. Doesn't have to go usually to the edge of the page. Creates this huge gap, no problem. We now know we can fix that by selecting them all, right click, distribute, and vertically. So we now have our 3 text boxes perfectly spaced out. In fact, the best solution that we can think of is rather than editing these ones on the right, if we select all of them and just delete them, we can select these 3 and duplicate them, drag them across and get them to the exact same size. Now what we have is a very well spaced, metered, sized Google slide that works exactly how we want it to. Now that's if we're making 2 rows. Now another thing that we can do is if I delete these and these, so we know how to right click and distribute them. I'm going to show you another tip, which is if we get this and we make 5 copies of it. If we drag this one down to where we want it to be height scale, we select all of them and we distribute them. Distribute vertically. It distributes them with the right amount of space, but what it doesn't do is get them all into alignment. So what we can also do is we can right click on them and say align horizontally to the left. And it gets them all to line up exactly in line with each other to the left. So we can use that to make sure that our Google Slides are really well spaced out so that students can see the work that's laid out on each slide. They can work out how much space they have for all of those things. And we can do it in a way so that the slide doesn't look all janky and haphazard, but it's not taking us forever to resize every little element and line them up and make sure that the spacing is right and then sit across the room and try to size the spacing up. Hopefully then it will all just come through exactly as we want it to. And if we want to get rid of anything, click up to about here, delete, and we can always start from scratch. So hopefully that ability to duplicate, which is Control D, the ability to distribute, which means to spread out in whichever direction you're going, and the ability to align them, whether it's to a horizontal side or to a vertical top if you're doing ones in a row, saves you a bit of time and makes your work look super professional, I guess, and easy for students to follow so that they can get on with their part of the job, which is the learning. All right, hope that helps. Cheers.